What's up, everybody? I am here, and we're doing a little bit of a different video today. Probably no intro or outro today because it's not a standard video. Today we are showcasing a programming project that we have been working on. If you want to be part of this project, I suggest that you get in contact with me on Twitter. Follow me on Twitter. If you can't make a Twitter account because that's too difficult for you, probably not the group for you. But anyway, what we have here is a mapping GUI, graphical user interface. So you can see as I'm moving my little cursor around here, I'm able to highlight different counties. Shows me the name of the county. Already that's something that's pretty cool. Already in itself, that's something that's sort of useful. But if we go up here in the top right corner, we hit selecting, you're going to see that there's a bar that says color, current color, and right now that color is red. So let's say I select San Juan, Utah. Now populated over here, and I'm going to move myself, down a little bit so you can see this. Now you're going to see how it says Group 1, San Juan, Utah. It gives you the population. Total population is about 15,000. If I select a neighboring county, Montezuma, Colorado, it now totals the two counties. And what this means is you can create territories. So I can just hold down and select a bunch of territories, and it's going to total those all up. Now, one of the problems that we're experiencing in this first version of the program is that it goes off the screen. It won't total. The way that we are currently getting around this, because the data is there, it's just not displaying. So if we go into elements, and give me a moment. I spent $1,600 on this computer, but it's actually fairly slow. So I don't know if that's loading. Okay, here we go. So what you're going to see here, move myself over. What you're going to see is that there's a bunch of different elements. So this is Montezuma, Colorado, the element we've selected. If we scroll to the bottom here and we go to T-foot data, okay, we open that up, and then T-foot data again. That'll show you the current population here is 1 million. It's about 1.2 million, essentially. So now as we select various counties, you can see that it's showing up in my inspect element over here. So you can do this, and now of course you can change. Let me slide that over there. You're able to change this color. Exit out of my inspect element. Oh, I hit the wrong button. All right, so anyway, current color. If I click on this up here, and I apologize for the slowness. The program's not that slow. I have a computer that's older than this. I just bought this computer. I bought it because it had the best graphics card in the store. Apparently that was the wrong decision. Apparently I should have gone more for the memory. But you know, mistakes were made, lessons were learned. If anyone wants to help me get a decent computer, I'd happily return this one and get a different computer. But this is what's allowing me to use OBS right now to record myself. But anyway, you can select a different color here. So we'll select purple and then start filling in the purple over here. And as we slide that up, now we have group 2. You can rename these groups. So this is mostly Oklahoma. So we could rename this OK. And group 1 is, we could call this desert, desert and OK. Now what I'd like to see up here is the population total listed up here. That's one of the features that we're working on. Only one guy working on this, and this is in Java right now. So we want to get more Java people. He actually had to learn a couple things to get this working. And I've donated a couple bucks here and there if you want to donate, let me know, and we'll get you the donation link. But I want to show what to me is the favorite feature, which is the load feature. So in the load feature, I've just pasted about a page of text, and I'm going to hit load map, and it's going to bring up this, which is a map that I've been working on over here. So as you can see, I've been totaling these up, and my little goal over here has been to try to total things to a population of 8 million each. So for instance, drag myself over here. If you look at, maybe I can zoom in a little bit. Apparently I can't. Okay, we have to work on that. Anyway, if you can read this, it says about 4 million in San Bernardino. So, you know, you can select different counties, mix different counties together, try to achieve the desired results. What I'd like to, let's just refresh the page. What I'd like to show here is how this could be useful on an individual level. So let's say I want to look at the area where the 9/11 hijacking happened. This is Somerset, Pennsylvania. So I have to hit select. I hit Somerset, Pennsylvania. Zoom in here. And what I can see over in the, and we want to fix how the zooming works, but it's about 73,000 people. If I select all the neighboring counties, so these are counties which are going to be within an hour of Somerset, Pennsylvania, I can select neighboring counties, and some in West Virginia, some in Maryland. Sorry for the lag. Again, it should work a lot faster on your computer. I just made a bad decision buying this computer. So I've made a selection over here, and what this shows is sort of within an hour radius of the Flight 93 crash site in Somerset, Pennsylvania, I have a population of almost 1 million people, 892,000 people. And I could continue to expand this, but what this kind of shows you is what you're working with in any given area. If you want to buy a property in Somerset, Pennsylvania, on the site, near the site of the Flight 93 crash, you can do that, and you can say, well, I'm within about an hour to 2 hour drive of about 1 million people. That is my base that I'm working with. That's a customer base that I'm working with. That is an evangelical base. That is a populace that you know, I can work with in whatever capacity, whether I'm selling something, whether I'm preaching something, whether I'm looking for resources, whether I'm looking in terms of I want there to be businesses in the area, I want there to be an employee base in the area. Whatever it is you're looking at, you can do that over there, and you can say, okay, so if I buy a property here, that's what it's going to look like. It's going to look like this is the population base. What's great about this is that we can also insert other data, and so that is another big update that I want, is to be able to have a sort of Excel spreadsheet page where you click over somewhere and it brings you to an Excel spreadsheet where it has each of the counties, and there's about 3,006 counties in America, divided by 50, that gives you about 60 counties per state. And so next to each of those counties, I want you to be able to input any data you want. So you can put percentage Amish, you can put GDP per capita, you can put total GDP, you can put any demographic information that you'd like, to be able to say, okay, here's a county in Ohio. Let's see if I can find some interesting, I think Holmes County, Ohio. Let's make it a different color. How about let's make it a light blue. Okay, Holmes County, Ohio, population of 43,000, and it's got a lot of Amish people in it. And so then I can do surrounding counties here. Yep, here we go, surrounding counties. These are all counties within an hour of Holmes, Ohio. And the total population, again, it's about 1 million people, 895,000 people. So, you know, looking at this, I kind of create these population bases, these semi-metropolitan areas. You can do this with a lot of places on the map, and it's great in terms of creating groups, creating the prospect of, if I'd like to live somewhere in the United States, what are the resources, what are the population bases, helps you understand. Let's get another color over here. Let's get a nice green going, and let's choose Cook County, Illinois. Zoom up on these. Cook County, Illinois gives us about 5 million people. And then you've got Lake, Illinois, and then Kenosha, Wisconsin, Racine, Wisconsin, and Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So already along this strip, which is about, you know, less than 100-mile strip on this lake. What's this lake called? I forget which lake. I know we've got Lake Erie somewhere. I don't remember the names of the lakes. Anyway, so along this 100-mile strip, you've got about almost 7.1 million people between Milwaukee and Cook County, which is Chicago. And this is an interesting demographic place, so you can look at that and you can say, okay, well, if we look at that area, there's going to be a lot of resources. It helps you understand in terms of the reason I had the idea for this map partially is because of the road trip, because I was traveling to different areas, and what I was trying to do is I was trying to reference in my head, where am I finding lots of people, where am I finding no people at all. So for instance, in some of these, I believe, counties in Ohio, I'm trying to think of like where Cincinnati is, and some of Kentucky. I was trying, because in America we essentially have a Schengen zone. You know, you can cross borders no problem. You don't have to deal with hard state borders. And so what I found, okay, let's go over to St. Louis, Missouri. Let's make it a different color. Let's make the color orange. St. Louis, Missouri, and move my head somewhere else. Maybe make my head a little bit smaller. Okay, St. Louis, Missouri. This is on the border of Missouri. So we've got on this side, we've got St. Charles, Missouri, but on this side we have St. Clair, Illinois, St. Louis City, Missouri. So really, the St. Louis, Missouri area is really halfway between Illinois and Missouri itself. So it's not actually in the center of Missouri. It's got about 2.5 million people in that little area there. So I don't know. I found it to be useful. I found it to be interesting to look at these different regions of the country and see different aspects of them. You know, looking at these different regions as blocks of regions, of saying, okay, well, here's the Pennsylvania area. You know, let's say we have 4 guys in Pennsylvania. We have another 4 guys in Holmes County. We got 4 guys in here. We got 4 guys over there. We can start to create sort of population bases, maps. We can start thinking about investing in real estate. We can start thinking about cohabitation or neighborly habitation in order to provide for social capital, in order to provide for financial capital, in order to have proximity for the purpose of starting businesses. So there's a lot of interesting things going on here. It's also interesting, just fun factoids, I'll say, like things I've learned along the way. We'll choose the color black for LA County, California. I gotta use the selection tool. LA County, if you look down here, is one of the most populous counties in America. It's got 10 million people. It should really be split between south and north. For whatever reason, they haven't done that. And there is, I don't know, that black is the best color. Maybe a nice blue. Let's try a nice blue. Will it let me select blue? Okay, there we go. All right, so LA County is now blue. But yeah, interesting to see how many people live there, as opposed to if we go all the way to New York City. Let me scroll in here. I guess there's 8 boroughs, they call them, to New York City. So we're really scrolling down in here. Let's choose a nice color for New York. Let's choose a nice sunny yellow. So we've got Kings, New York. Oh, I gotta select it. Kings, New York, and then New York, New York, Hudson, New Jersey, Richmond, New York, Queens, New York, Bronx, New York, and then surrounding that already has 9 million people. So it's smaller than LA County, but it's got more people. So it's interesting politically how these things are done up. And then you've got, if we look at Nassau or Suffolk, we've got this area here. It's interesting to create your own little, I gotta scroll out here. Wish there was like a magnifying glass tool. Scroll out. You can make your own states, as I showed before. Let's load up the previous project I was working on. Load the map. Put that up here. So I was working on these various states. Kind of unfinished, but I kept sort of expanding and contracting the states to try to keep them around that 8 million population mark. And it's interesting. It's fun to look at, what if we were making states, trying to make them equal size, population-wise, the different... that was another thing. I was like, why does nobody live in Montana? Because it's not very densely populated, whereas there's, of course, a lot of people in LA. So interesting to look at. I'm interested, again, to put in things like GDP, find things like, all right, we can now search, we can list, say, rural counties, and we can say which ones have the highest GDP. We can take a look at the percentage Amish. We can take a look at, different industries. We could break down GDP by food industry GDP versus engineering. So I have people who are engineers and they want to move to a county in the country that's close to a lot of engineering, whether that's engineering through universities, whether that's engineering through the private sector. And so if we could create data around that, we could create maps and we could say, hey, look, here's some different areas in the country where you could live, and here's how close they would be to your family, here's how close they would be to other people. And, we can start marking up counties here. We can start saying, here's where various people live. And so through that, we could say things like, through 50 different people who live in America who are part of the road trip, if we say, okay, well, one person lives, let's use our selection tool, one person lives here in Kansas, one person lives in Utah, one person lives in Tennessee, one person lives in Indiana, that would be they're surrounded within their county at an hour drive or less by 90,000 people, and we say a Montana, we have a California, an Arkansas, a Texas, Virginia, South Dakota, New York, Florida, South Carolina, So through these counties, you're surrounded by 1.1 million people. And it's interesting for me to think about in the scale of access, in the scale of who's in your range, who's in your area, who's in your zone, the ability to meet people, the ability to network with people, gives you an interesting perspective to say, these are different bases in the country. These are bases where people live. And so we could we could think about things in this way. We could think about geography. We could think about geopolitics. I'd eventually like to get this map expanded to the whole world. I don't want it just to be America. I want it to be the oblasts of Russia and of the European Union, of various states, that we could redraw the map. We could redraw borders. We could redefine things. We could look at mineral resources. We could look at percentage fertile land or total acres of fertile land. and we could calculate different areas of the globe from a geopolitical perspective. For example, in Russia, we could look at Russia. We could start playing with the data. We could say, well, what if due to global warming, Siberia has an increased crop yield? What's that going to look like? Or we could look at average temperature maps. We could look at two-factor variance in temperature. So LA County has a very low variance in temperature, stays pretty much around 60 to 80 degrees all year round. There's not a lot of variance there. So if we have a temperature variance calculator, and we start looking at temperature variance in Canada, in Russia, in America, and we say, well, what if the temperature variance increases or decreases? How's that going to affect arable land? How's that going to affect total arable land in the future? What's the geopolitical impact of that on Russia, on Canada, and therefore on America? So these are interesting questions. You can look at oil. You could look at counties, and we're calling them counties for America, but you can call them regions or gebiets. You can call them whatever you want to call them. But breaking countries into smaller, more manageable, more relevant chunks, saying, let's look at these regions of Iraq and Kuwait and Saudi Arabia. Let's look at these populations. We can also look at oceans, right? We can look at oceanographic areas in terms of their resource content with oil, deep sea oil. As well as fisheries and so on. We can look at the value of that as well for naval bases. So there's a lot to look into here that has real world implications. It can also be like a video game. This could very easily be made into a video game where you set up your base here in Smith, Kansas, and you start conquering the neighboring territories through religious evangelism and through military conflict. So, that's something that we could do, the Joppa World Conquest video game. So there's a lot of fun things for entertainment value, but also for educational value. I think children could benefit from looking at this map, playing with this map. I think geography is important. I think understanding the way that proximity works is important, the rural-urban divide. So I think this could be a really great template, a really great tool to be used around the world, within the United States on a state level. Of course, it could be broken down even further into subdivisions of counties. We could make it even more exact through selection tools, different options give the user. But there's an incredible amount of time and work that's gone into this. I've donated the money that I could. But I'd love to see if other people want to contribute. None of the money's going to me. It's going to the people who are directly working on the project. Like I said, there's one guy working on the project. We'd like to have more people working on the project. I think it could be really amazing. That proof of concept that we're able to come together as a community, a very small community of people, we're able to come together. We're going to make things that are really cool, that also teach people how to program. The guys working on this had to learn a different database for Java that he hadn't used before. And so he's learning, this is beneficial for him, beneficial for you, beneficial for everyone if people want to learn how to code or sharpen their skills, or create bounties, say, I'll fix this bug for $100. Well, it might be someone out there who's not great at coding, doesn't have the time, but they're happy to throw in some money to the project to get it going. So there's a lot of cool things here, and I'd like to make a lot more apps. I'd like to eventually get this in the App Store on Apple, on Android. I'd like to get this in the App Store to use on your phone. If possible, I'd like to see it for free. Really, I'd like to see it for free, just, promotionally. This is the Jockle app, and here's a donation link. I think this could be really useful. When I look on the App Store, I see a lot of apps that are pay to play, which are not as good. This is great I'd love to see integration with Google Maps in terms of showing distances, in terms of showing different, a road trip feature where you can look at, here's the historical sites in this county, here's the crime rate in this county, all sorts of different information, very interesting information you can see as you're driving through an area. Oh, I'm driving from Kent, Texas, all the way to LA. Look at all these counties I'm driving through. Look how many people live there. Quite a lot of people. So it gives you an idea where's the rural places, where's the urban places. There's a lot that can be done with this. I accidentally colored Alaska. My selection. So sometimes there's a glitch that we have to fix where it selects too many things. You can always, what you can do is you can save, generate the save code, copy that, and then when you refresh, you can just load. Of course, this is my map. I've been working on. And we want to make it so, another glitch, we want to make so that when you zoom in, and it's actually working on this computer, interestingly enough. It wasn't working on my other computer. I don't know how that's been done. One of the things I want to see is that you have like a selection tool, like in MS Paint, you have the little pipette. You can like suck the color out. And so you can take, I think it's this color. I'm gonna see what happens here. I think this is actually for San Francisco. Let's put that out. Let's try to see if we can get to the Montana. Okay, I think it's this one because it saves the color. Do inspect element. Yeah, I know it's very buggy right now. I'm just showing there's always a workaround. If you're persistent enough, there's always a workaround. At some point I was like, I'm just gonna learn how to code it myself, but you know, I'm not the best. I think I'm using the wrong. Here we go. It's TR foot. TR foot population 9 million. So as I'm selecting, yep, this is the right selection group. Let's try a new color. Over here. Let's try this nice, well, I don't want to try this nice green. How about this nice blue? How about this nice dark blue? Let's see what that populates down here. Let's see, we've got 1 million people. Okay, that gave us 4 million. Probably want some more. We probably want some more. Let's see how that looks. About 5 million. 6 million, 8 million. So now we've got a little population that's 8 million here. As we create this, you know, we've stolen from some other counties, so we need to go back and adjust those counties. But I thought it would be interesting to do a little time lapse with you here on creating these, showing the process. It is perhaps a slow process. And I'm wondering if there are any shortcuts. I mean, if you guys have ideas, please let me know. Oops. Here, we're back. I accidentally, yeah, it's a new computer. Oh my goodness. This is one of those stupid computers where if you use both of your fingers at the same time, it will shut down. It doesn't shut down the web browser, but it minimizes the browser, which is very annoying. So, okay. We'll call this Cali. We'll call this Texas. We'll call this Oklahoma. We'll call this group, I don't know what we're going to call this group. This group is kind of like a Kansas sort of a thing. This group 1 is going to be like an Iowa. All right, let's see. Let's pick a new color over here. Let's pick a nice red color. A nice bright red color. So let's use our selection tool. Let's zoom in over here. Use our selection tool. and see how that starts to populate. See how that starts to populate here. Okay, we're up to almost 1 million. And fill this in, fill this area in. Let's see, okay, we've overflown. We've overblown and overflown. This would be good live streaming. I could do some live streaming here pretty soon. Why not? Why not try it out? All right, I'll stop now and we'll see if we can do some live streaming.